And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our usual time for LaJun and Valora Live. And so today we're going to be doing the Fearless Challenge today. And so we're really excited to have you all with us. Please join in and also invite others to come in and join in with us as well. We have a whole lineup this week of different speakers that will be coming and joining us, and we'll be able to share a little bit about them as well as getting their testimony and what this bounce back means for them, the things that they've gone through, the processes that they've endured. And so again, we are so blessed to have each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for those that registered, those that signed up for it. And so right after, you'll be able to receive information in your email as well from today's broadcast and the other broadcasts that are up and coming. So blessings, blessings, blessings. And so today I have a special guest. Many of you already know him. You see him as we are together a lot. We do all of our broadcasts together, and so we minister together. We've been married for 14 years, a little over 14 years. We are the lead servants as an amazing church called Contagious Church. And so again, I'm presenting to some and introducing to others none other than my amazing husband, my babe, my boo, my apostle, all of those different things. And so he's going to be joining in with us on today. Really, really excited. Listen, I know so much about this man of God over the past 14 years, and I have seen him bounce back. I've seen him bounce back from various things. Even the first day, I remember the first day that we met and we began to talk, and so a couple of days later he began to just tell me the things, the challenges that he had gone through in life, and I was like, whoa, and so he said, I want to make sure that I don't hold anything back from you. This is who I am. These are my processes. And so the first thing I said to him was, my pastor told me that I wouldn't not to have anyone or date anyone that didn't have a testimony. And so he has a powerful, powerful testimony. Many of you have heard his testimony just about his upbringing, the loss of his siblings, the things that he endured, the challenges that he overcame, growing up in the poorest city, in the second poorest state in the United States of America. But yet God had his hand upon him. No matter what he endured, no matter what challenges came to him, he was able to endure throughout life, even up to this point in time. He was in the military. So many things could have happened to him while serving his country in the United States Army as a drill sergeant, as a sapper, as a man of war. And so we're just appreciative for how God has used him and the testimony that he has. Listen, everybody doesn't have a testimony. We all go through tests, but we don't always have a testimony. And so I don't want to delay this any longer, and you'll hear from him in a way that you haven't heard from him before. You'll learn things about him that perhaps you didn't know before. And so please, please, wherever you are, listen, call your in-laws, your outlaws, your cousins, your friends, your family, and have them join me in our special guest, Mr. LaJun Cole. Yes.
I don't often get called Mr. But at any rate, I'm excited to be here today. My wife was sharing with you all about how I've bounced back. And I've bounced back from many situations in life. I've bounced back from financial challenges. I've bounced back from health challenges. I've bounced back from other challenges, relationship challenges. And one of the things that I often say is that if we're going to go through life, and if we're going to do well in life and bounce back from things, then what we've got to do is we've got to learn some new principles. We've got to learn some new strategies for some things. Amen. There are sometimes that we encounter something in life, and oftentimes after we've gone through a challenging time or a challenging situation, we don't really go back and learn anything new. And one of the things as I was coming back from my health challenge was that I began to understand that I needed to do something else in my fitness in order to be able to bounce back and then come back better than I was before. And one day I was out and I was riding, and I think we were riding probably about a 30-mile ride. And I came back and I was extremely winded. I mean, like I just didn't have anything left in me. And I asked the guy that I was riding with, I said, what is it that you're doing that's different than what I'm doing? He said, well, my diet is different from yours. And I said, like, well, I don't get that. What do you mean? And he said, my octane, the octane that I have is different from the octane you. And I'm like, well, what in the world do you mean that your octane is different? And so we began to talk, and as we began to talk, he began to talk about how his diet was different. And so I learned that in order for me to bounce back, I needed a different diet from the diet that I had necessarily always been accustomed to. I'm from the South, and so I love gravy, I love rice, I love potatoes, I love all these things. I love pork chops. I grew up eating these type of things, but the reality was I couldn't eat that and be able to ride 30 miles with everybody else because I wouldn't have the strength. I wouldn't have the ability to do it. Let me tell you a story. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm gonna get in trouble for telling you this story, but I'm gonna tell you this story anyway. So when my wife and I first got married, my wife just loved me, and she still loves me. Listen, I'll tell you, this girl loves me. And so what happened was she would get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and she would make pancakes. I mean, nobody makes pecan pancakes like my wife. I mean, she'd get up and she'd crunch up the pecans and she'd put them in the pancakes. But again, mind you, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And so what I realized was that if I was going to get the sleep that I needed, I couldn't stay up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't eat at 3 o'clock in the morning because unfortunately I would begin to gain weight. And so what I learned was, as I learned that there's a different habit, there are different habits that I needed to be able to establish for myself so that I could see the success that I want in life. Yes. And I believe that as each one of you bounces back from different situations, whether it's a financial situation, whether it's relationship situations, whether you're coming back from a health situation, whether you're coming back from whatever type of situation, a mental situation, whatever type of situation you're bouncing back from, you're going to have to apply and learn different habits, because the habits that you apply today will result in the results that we get tomorrow. Can I say that again? Mm-hmm. The habits that we apply today will be the results that we receive tomorrow. And so as I began to think about this, I thought about the fact that as I was reading my scriptures, I understand that Jesus had habits. He had habits of fasting. He had habits of rest. He had habits of prayer. He had habits of eating. He had habits of the people that he hung around. Then you notice Job had habits. The Bible said that Job was a man who eschewed evil, which means he had a habit of staying away from evil. And so then I looked at Joseph. I looked at Joseph's habits, and his habits were that he had the ability to interpret dreams. He had other habits. And so then I looked at the 3 Hebrew boys. You know, the Bible talks about how they were in Babylon, and they were in the king's palace, and the king would give them a certain he wanted to give them a certain set of foods and wine and other things like that. And the 3 Hebrew boys said, no, we will not eat the king's thing. And he said, test us for 10 days. They had them to test him to see whether or not they could just eat vegetables and water, and whether or not they would be just as healthy as the other people would. And so sometimes people think that their health levels are based on another thing, or based on what they eat, or whatever the case may be. But the reality is that you've got to tap into another level of habit and another level of discipline in order to get to where you want to get to. And so I began to write. I began to look at it. I said, even when we look at, for instance, when we look at our physical fitness levels, did you know that there are different blood types? And of course you knew that because you're a nurse. And so each blood type is each one of our blood types dictate what we can eat. You may be able to eat one thing because of your blood type, and I may not be able to eat that thing and be healthy because of my blood type. Right. And so every person's blood type is going to be different. The next thing is everybody has a different body type. Right. Come on, well, let me go back. So a type A, type B, type AB, type O, all those different body types require a different diet. Right. And so if you're going to bounce back from health situations, you need to know what your blood type is, so that you can eat appropriately, so you can be healthy for your blood type. Lord have mercy. Listen, then I looked at the fact that there are different body types. So we got ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs. And each one of these body types depends on the type of exercise that we need to do so that we can maintain our health level. And so I thought about it, I said, man, yes. Then we got sleep habits. We got habits that we need to have on our sleep. You can't stay up all night and think you're going to get up in the morning and be rested.
Right.
Because you want, there's 3 levels of sleep.
Yes.
There's deep sleep, there's REM sleep, and then there's light sleep. And so you need to, and I learned that you have to be asleep for at least 90 minutes to enter into the REM sleep,
right,
or the REM sleep. But in REM sleep, it helps our cognitive behavior processes. Mm-hmm. It's this realm where we really get into our dreams. Mm-hmm. And so our body is repaired in deep sleep. Right. But then in REM sleep is where we actually go through this process. So again, we have to learn different habits, because sometimes, I was talking to my mother about this today, and we were talking about how sometimes we were brought up in environments where our habits were not conducive for success.
Right.
Listen, your family background, your family, your generations may not have given you the healthy habits that you need in order to be successful. Mm-hmm. And so as believers, we got to understand that because Jesus had habits, because Solomon had habits, right, every person in the Bible had habits. We don't necessarily see their habits. We might not even, we don't even necessarily see the entire diet which Jesus ate. Now, people that are Jewish may understand that, or people that have researched that may understand it. But listen, they had a different diet. They were not eating, they were not eating pig feet. They were not eating a lot of the stuff that we eat today that we call a delicatessen. We be like, man, this is so good. It's just so good to us. No, some of this stuff is not good for, it may be good to us, right, but it's not good for us.
Yes.
I like those pancakes that you were cooking in the middle of the night. I like it when you cook the juice, girl. I like it when you cook certain things, but I understand that some of the things that you cook for me may not be good for, that are good to me may not be good for me. Are you listening?
Yes.
And
so what you're saying is, in your bounce back season, there's some things that we have to participate.
Yep, we got to participate.
Right? We have to participate in the bounce back. And so one of the ways that we participate is we have to look at our habits. We have to look at the things that we're doing, especially when we're dealing with, and there are other things that we can come back from. But in the way of our health, when we say, God, I need to get my health back in order, something happened in your health. Maybe there was a dis-ease or a disorder. And so you're like, God, I need to bounce back from this. But it's going to take all of us to participate in our own bounce back. That's and right. So I love that. I absolutely love that, because definitely want you to continue with these habits, because there are certain habits that we have to break, and there are certain habits that we have to implement in order to be at our optimal, right? Our optimal health, our optimal energy, our optimal cognitive ability and alertness. So there are things that we have to do. God is a miracle working God. We understand that. He performs miracles. He's a creative God. He will create things that were not there. He will remove things that perhaps were there that caused an issue in your life. But even if God does all of that, we still have to be able to maintain it. We still have to, if God removes the tumor, if God, dries up certain things, what is our next step? So we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, God, what do I need to do? How am I to participate in this situation, in this bounce back, so that I will always be at my optimal, and that I won't have to always be in a place where I need a miracle.
Wow. No, that's good. Even when we look at, for instance, I looked at work habits, professional habits, emotional habits, exercise habits. Come on, we got to understand the different habits that we need to implement, yes, so that once we implement them, we will be, as you said, be at our optimal place.
Right.
Because you shouldn't just bounce back to the place where you were. You want to bounce back, and you want to be better. You want to research, you want to study, you want to understand what's going to cause you to come back with a vengeance. Listen, yes, the thing that you went through, you understand that you had to go through those processes, but those processes should make you, the processes you learn as a result of bouncing back, you should come back better than you were before. Absolutely. You should come back stronger than you were before. You shouldn't just go through a challenge. You shouldn't just go through a storm. You shouldn't just go through a process, right, or or an obstacle in life, and then you don't understand, you don't learn how to do this thing better. I was talking now. This is, I know this is for your fearless. This is for your fearless. But one of the things I said is that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing expecting a different result. Right. And so we cannot do the same thing that we used to do and expect different results. We've got to develop different habits. And so that's one of the things that I really feel like as believers we've got to do in this season. I was even looking at exercise habits. Many times in the church we're strong spiritually. I mean, we can pray the house down, but then we've gained a slightly I'll say this politically correct. We've gained well, I'll talk about me. I had gained so much weight that I was preaching and I could pray, but then when I got on the mic, I'm huffing and puffing trying to get through the message. Right. And sometimes then I would get upset, and then when I had the stroke, Lord have mercy, when I had the stroke, I looked at my situation, but I didn't realize that it was the things that I was eating, it was my exercise habits, it was my sleep habits, it was all these things that contributed to the downfall or to the situation that I went through. Right. And sometimes we're doing the things that and we're contributing to these things, but we're not necessarily making the changes that are necessary so that we don't end up back in that situation again.
Right, absolutely, because so then you not only just bounce back to where you were because of your habits that you had to change, because you were able to implement other things, exercise, different types of nutritional supplements, eating differently. You had to make a conscious effort to do that. You had to come out of the place that you were comfortable, because we all, we like comfort foods, right? So those foods that you like, as you said, the rice with the gravy, the pancakes, and listen, I make some awesome pancakes. But even though, and it's not to say that you can't ever have it, but you have to
do it in moderation.
In moderation. Yeah. So therefore, you had to implement another level of discipline in your life to do the things that you didn't feel like doing, and then not doing the things that you wanted to do. Yeah. It was kind of like the Apostle Paul. There's this battle, that I'm dealing with. It's in me, and the things that I want to do, I shouldn't be doing. The things that I should be doing, I don't want to do. So, I saw you were getting up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready to ride. You had to condition your body. You had to prepare your body for what you were about to embark on in riding your bike and riding 30 miles, doing 25 miles an hour for those 30 miles. So you had to prepare your body for that. You couldn't just jump on this bike and say, I'm just going to ride. No, it was a whole process that you had to go through, and you had to be faithful and diligent in doing so. And in doing so, you bounce back, and it was a rapid recovery to not just where you were before, but even better than you were before.
Yep. One of the things I even thought about is we got to have good prayer habits. So just like we deal with the physical, we deal with the mental, we deal with the emotional, we deal relational. And so then we even have to have good prayer habits. Like you can pray I've seen you pray for 4 or 5 hours. Yes. But that's a habit that you have. That's a discipline that you develop. Yes. You had to develop that. You had to develop the strategy to pray 4 or 5 hours straight. You had to understand how to operate in the realm of the spirit. But oftentimes many believers don't get up. They won't get up early. You get up at 5 o'clock sometimes. Sometimes you stay up until midnight and you pray. But the thing about that is it's a habit. It's a habit that we have to develop. And so for those of you that are watching, I believe that we have to develop good habits. We have to develop other disciplines that sometimes we may not necessarily know. The Bible said that Jesus woke up before day, and he went off into a segregated place, and you even saw, matter of fact, he always prayed before he made major decisions. He had a habit of praying. He always prayed before he ordained the apostles. Yes. He prayed when he went to when he was getting ready to go in the Garden of Gethsemane. Right. And so these were different times that he prayed because prayer was necessary. Yes. It was necessary for him to talk to his Father. Yes. But again, this was a habit that he had.
It was such a habit that the disciples noticed, and they say, teach us how to pray like you do, because we see you, we see your consistency, we see when you pray things happen, things shift, and so teach us how to develop the habit that we see you operating in.
Yeah. And another thing I thought about is we need good financial habits. And so sometimes people are asking us, pray for my finances, pray for this to happen, pray for that to happen. And one day I was right on the street with one of my friends, and they were saying, they wanted me to pray for something, and the Lord automatically said to me, He said, I've blessed him before, and if I bless him again, he's going to do the same thing that he did the last time when I bless him. And that's a challenge because, and I really couldn't necessarily say that.
Right.
But the reality is that many times we're praying for God to bless us in a way, but we've never developed the budget. We've never stuck with the budget. Come on, we've never developed a savings plan. Come on, we listen. If we make it, we're gonna spend it.
Yes.
And so we get credit card, but we listen. They'd be maxed out. And so we've got to develop savings plan so we don't find ourselves in these situations time and time again. Yep.
Absolutely. Man, that is so powerful. So in our bounce back, in coming back from a health challenge, many of us can relate to that in some way. Even me myself, I dealt with that. I had a brain tumor, so I had to bounce back. I had to come back, but I had to do things differently. My whole lifestyle changed. I was, really focused on my career, focused on doing things in ministry. So that was my life. My life was comprised of those things. And that was the journey I feel that God had me on. And so then there came this shift. That God used what I was going through to shift me into another place. And sometimes because we don't understand it, we want to go back to what's comfortable. We want to go back to the season that we have been in. And even though it wasn't the best, we were comfortable with it and we were familiar with it. And so if I would have stayed where I was, I never would have pursued. I never would have published books. We never would have gotten married, right? Because I was so connected and felt I could not leave where I was. And so God is saying, listen, I don't want you to just be healed. No, I want you to be whole in every area of your life. So it's going to take you from leaving what you've been familiar with, letting go of it. You've got to trust me in a way that you never trusted me before. Your faith has to graduate to a place called complete trust. You've got to trust me. You've got to hear my voice, and you've got to be led of me, not just what you know, not be led as a nurse, because then God told me that I couldn't renew my nursing license, so I couldn't even relate to being a nurse. I couldn't apply to anything. I couldn't work as a nurse. I had to trust in God with everything that I had and what I did not know. So every day I had to seek Him, as it was with the children of Israel. Every single day I had to get instruction. I had to get direction for what it was that God wanted me to do, as well as the things that He was doing. And so, Apostle, I really love that. It's not always easy. It's not always something that we want to hear, but this is what's going to cause us to bounce back to our optimal, to the place that God has called us to, not to the place that we were familiar with, not with the place that we've been comfortable, but there are some habits that we're going to have to break, and then there are some new habits that we're going to have to implement that would assist us and be the catalyst that we need to bounce back.
One of the things that one of the books that I'm reading now, and I don't often do that. We live in a library. I know you see these books here, and you got one shelf, but we got another shelf over there and another shelf over there, and we got another, put 5 or 6 boxes in the garage that we've not even been able to pull out in the new home that we've just moved into in December. But one of the books that I'm reading, and I'm gonna recommend this book. And I don't often do this. I do a lot of spiritual books. I don't really necessarily recommend. But there's this book that I'm reading, and it's called High Performance Habits. And so this book about high performance habits is a book that I'm reading, and it's talking about how extraordinary people become that way. And so we've got to develop some extraordinary habits and whether that's eating habits. I got other books that I'm reading on making sure that I'm eating right.
Right.
You know, you got up the other day and I can't remember what you said, that you had a smoothie.
Yes, it was like a juice, and it was amazing because that's what God has been dealing with me about, the different things that I need to implement into my body so that I can operate in optimal health, giving my body the nutrients that it needs. So it was like pineapple, kale, what else was it? I think it was ginger, and it was a couple other like greens. And so forth. Parsley was one of them, as well as I think it was like mustard greens or something, and a little bit of honey. Oh, and beets. That's what it was. Beets. It wasn't the greens, but it the collard greens, but it was beets. And fresh. Everything was fresh. And so it was just really amazing that I'm really looking at and having to change some habits and implement some new habits so that I can be at my optimal health. And it takes discipline. It takes being conscious about it. It takes doing it every day, not just sporadically, because once a month it's not going to work. Listen, I've been there. I know, I understand. Trust me, I understand, but it's going to take a conscious effort every single day in order to break an old habit and make a conscious effort to start a new habit that will be beneficial to you so that you can live at your best.
You know, you really got to turn it into a lifestyle.
Yes.
So it's got to be a lifestyle of doing certain things.
Yes.
I've tried to, in my with you know I've tried to make sure that I live a healthy lifestyle now, because nobody can after I bounce back from that health challenge, nobody has the right to help me get back into the situation I was in before. Nobody has the right to do that. Isn't that something?
Yes.
I don't put that responsibility on anybody else. I put that responsibility on me.
Yes.
That I say nobody has the right to put me back in there. If you've been through a challenging relationship, nobody has the right to put you back in that type of relationship ever again. If you've gone through a challenging financial situation, nobody has the right to put you back in there. And matter of fact, you should work very hard to make sure that you don't allow anybody to put you back into that situation again, because your life is at stake.
Yes.
Come on. I talked to somebody the other day who was incarcerated, and they said, once I get out of this, once I bounce back from this, nobody is going to listen. I got to live my life, and nobody has the right to then give me the understanding or change my thought process about me being healthy and living a healthy life. And so you've got to make up your mind, when God allows you to bounce back, to get a second chance, to get a third chance. Listen, you've got to make up your mind that you're going to change the habits that you had that allowed you to have to get into the situation in the first place. You listen, you got to change habits. You got to listen. If I leave you with nothing else today, you've got to change the habits that you've allowed to happen in your life that caused you to have to need to bounce back. Listen. We all made mistakes. We've all failed in some area or another. We've all not and sometimes you don't make a bad mistake, but you're not making the right decisions. You're not making you hang with the wrong people. My younger brother was killed because he was hanging with the wrong crowd. And so he was hanging with the wrong crowd. His friend did something. Somebody did a drive-by and they were shooting at them, and they killed him. His friend got out of it, but the reality was he was hanging with the wrong people. So sometimes you can just be hanging with the wrong people. And so you need to even have habits of good. Listen, association brings forth assimilation. And so you got to even have habits of the people that you hang with, so that guess what? You can make sure that you're going to have good success in your life. Come on. God told Joshua, he said, listen, he said, I want you to follow my word. He said, I don't want you to look to the left, and I don't want you to look to the right. He said, I want you to follow my word the way that I've given it to you, and listen, and you'll have good success because you don't look to the left or to the right.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't deviate, and if you stick to it, and if you develop discipline in the areas that I'm telling you, if you develop habits, listen, you can have good habits and you can have bad habits.
Yes.
You can have habits. At one point, I had a habit of eating too much. Can I be honest? Listen, I love them. Oh God, I love them pancakes, girl, that you was making. I love the bacon. I love the sausage. I loved it at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I found out that it was not healthy for me.
Right.
It was not healthy for me. And so when I looked at my body mass index, you know what it said? It said I was obese. And I'm like, my God, like most times, and we will talk our way out of some of this stuff. We were like, oh, that wasn't meant for me. That wasn't meant for African Americans. It wasn't meant for my family. You know, my family big bone. Yeah, well, everybody else says my family is big bone. But guess what? We learn how to eat the wrong stuff.
Right.
We learn how to eat the stuff that was going to cause us to be big bone. Lord have mercy. Who am I talking to?
Yes.
So listen, I'm done. I wanted to drop that nuggets on you today because again, I want us to change. I want to see God's people be healthy.
Right.
I want to see us be whole. I want us to see us be mentally whole, financially whole, relationally whole, spiritually whole. I want, because we in the church, we can pray. Come on, we can prophesy. But are we healthy though? Are we mentally healthy? Are we emotionally healthy?
Yes.
Come on. Have you ever seen somebody that they look good, but they could be, but they are emotional basket case?
Yes.
I mean, they look real good. You be like, my God, that person is very attractive. But then when you get around them, you find out they're toxic.
Yes.
And so you got people that are smart, but they're toxic.
Yes.
And so God wants us to be whole, and the only way for us to be whole and get healthy is to do what? Change our habits. Change our disciplines, change how we do things, and change how we even perceive things.
Yes.
Listen, we got to re-educate ourselves. We got to refocus ourselves so that we can be successful in the thing that God has told. Listen, I'm telling you, I've known prophets who could prophesy. They could prophesy, but they were unhealthy and they died before their time.
Jesus.
Because they were not healthy enough to sustain the anointing. And so if you're going to be a fearless warrior, you've got to listen, you got to get this temple, and you got to make sure that this earthly temple that you're residing in is healthy enough that your emotions are healthy. Come on, that you're mentally healthy.
Yes.
Come on, that you're physically healthy,
yes.
that you're relationally healthy. You cannot hang around people that are toxic all the time, people that are late all the time, people that have excuses all the time, people that like drama and confusion and stress. No, because you'll be stressed out all the time, and you cannot deal with that all your life.
Can't do it.
No, you got to get some peace.
Jesus.
You got to get some peace. You got to get into a place of peace. And you got to develop such a regimen and such a habit of having peace that nothing can interrupt that.
Right. So you want to be around people that add value to you and not decrease your value.
Oh God, I got to say something on that. I also found that I can't be the smartest person in the room.
Right.
I need to be in some rooms where I'm not the smartest person, where I got to just sit there and shut up and listen to what people have to say, because in relationships, sometimes I need to be the mentor, sometimes I need to be the mentee, sometimes I need people to support me, and sometimes I need people to counsel me. Lord have mercy.
Yes.
I was talking to a pastor the other day, a good friend of mine, and he was talking about, he said, every day I get up and I pray. He said, every day I get up and I exercise. He said, every day I get up and I eat correctly. He said, every day, Lord have mercy, I get up and I talk to my therapist. Huh? You mean to tell me every day?
Every day.
You get up?
The totality of the person.
And sometimes we're so fractured as people. We're super in one area, but we're not together in the other area.
Right.
I saw somebody's post the other day. They said, you mean you can discern all kind of spirits, you can cast out every kind of spirit, but you don't even know how to deal with, you don't even deal with finances? I mean, like, are you serious? And so I think it's so important.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing with this fearless challenge. I love what you're doing. I'm excited about all the speakers that are coming.
Yes.
And I'm your husband, but I listen. I listen. I am so proud of you and all that you're doing. And I'm proud of you because you persevered. Even when you came back from your health challenge, it wasn't necessarily easy.
Right.
But you had to change some things. You had to operate differently in some things. Why? Because you were determined.
My mind had to think differently. In order for anything to change, it has to change in your mind. You have to know that, first of all, you have to know that you need to change. And then once you know you need to change, then you have to deal with your mindset to say, no, I am going to change. You can't negotiate with yourself. to say, well, maybe, maybe I can do it a little bit. No. You have to really come to grips with yourself to say you will change. There is no option in the matter. There's no negotiation. No, I will change. Listen, body, you will line up. I will not give you everything that you want. I'm going to give you what you need. And I'm not going to settle for anything less than that. Mm-hmm. Because we only get one.
Let me give you another one. Did you know your body would tell you that you're tired?
Yes.
Did you know your body would tell you that you should just quit? Mm-hmm. Do you know that when I was riding, when you're riding 30 miles and at the speed we were riding, and you got to have the right equipment, you got to be with the right team of people. But as I was riding, did you know my body told me every time I rode, my legs would tell me you should just quit because you're making me pump too hard? Did you know my heart and my lungs told me that I was going too fast?
Yes.
Don't you know they told me I needed to slow down? Because your body will tell you that it wants to eat. Have you ever been fasting? Fasting is a discipline we need to work on. Have you ever been fasting and it seems like everybody that's a friend of yours wants to take you to lunch?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever been fasting and every part of your body wants to eat? Like your baby toe want to eat, your pinky finger wants to eat.
I know, you think about things you want to eat that you haven't eaten in years. It's like all this stuff comes to you. Man, you need to get a candy bar. Oh, you need some chips. Or you need this. And it's like, oh my goodness. Right? So you have to be so disciplined. You have to begin to speak to your body and say, you will not. I will not. Listen, this is not going to add value to me. And so it's only going to take away my value. So I can't indulge in it.
Mm-hmm. No. Listen, can I tell you that when you're fasting, there's been some times that I was fasting. Now sometimes I'm not fasting. I'm being disciplined in my eating.
Right.
Do you know? Let me tell you. I grew up on grape Kool-Aid. I grew up. But did you know that the sugar then eventually adds weight to your stomach?
Right.
Did you know that if you cut out sugar, that your stomach will automatically go down? Mm-hmm. Did you know that I had a friend of mine? They told me, I really want to get in shape, Apostle. I want to get in shape. And I said, well, you're going to have to cut out the sweet teas. You have to cut out the Kool-Aid. You have to cut out some of that stuff. And they were like, I don't know if I want to cut that out. I said, well, you're going to continue to have the same results that you've been getting because you don't want to make a change. And so it's important. Think about that. If all I got to do is cut out some of the sugar, I not only help myself now, but how many of us have had family members that are diabetic? Mm-hmm. Most of diabetes and things of that nature that cause the kidneys to malfunction are in our diet.
Yes.
And because we're not eating well, and we're not eating right, and we're not resting well, do you know your body has the ability to repair itself while it sleeps?
Yes.
Do you know that your body has the ability to lose weight while you sleep?
Yes, and that's one of the things that I had to really begin to look at, begin to change, because, even my husband's like, Lord, you don't sleep enough. And so sometimes because of an old habit, I used to work as a nurse, so a lot of it was at night. So I was up at night. So that was a habit that I developed due to my career. So then it kind of continued. And so my husband was like, you go to bed too late, you got to get in bed earlier. And so my thing was, sometimes I'm up praying or I'm doing this and that, but I had to begin to look at it and say, this habit this lifestyle that I'm living is not bringing me the optimal health, because as he said earlier, those areas of sleep, those different stages of sleep, your REM sleep, your deep sleep, that REM sleep of dreaming, and then that deep sleep where things are being repaired, mm-hmm. if that is interfered with, then your body doesn't have the ability to rejuvenate itself. Your cells are not able to properly repair themselves. And so then you're losing cells and it's not being replenished. So we've got to begin to look at that. Another area in my life was water. So I've been implementing and drinking more water. Listen, every 2 hours, this thing tells me your body needs water. It starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. Your body needs water. So
and even the type water.
Yes.
Because if you're just drinking water that's out of the faucet, that's not going to be good.
It may not be good.
But you got to drink water that's 9.5 pH. And what that does is because, again, the body, I forget the percentage of the body that's water, but our bodies are made of water.
Like 85.
And so if we're made of water and we don't drink water, sometimes you're not depressed. Sometimes they're not depressed. People come and say, "Oh, I'm depressed." You're not depressed. You're just dehydrated.
Jesus. Sometimes we have a headache, and it's because we're dehydrated. So we don't need to grab, Tylenol or Advil or Motrin. No, we need to drink water. Sometimes when we feel like we're hungry, we're really not hungry. We're just dehydrated. We just need some water. And so we're learning, right? We're learning. It's a process, but we want to bounce back to our most optimal, the highest level that we could possibly live in, that we can bring our body into, because what we want balance. Above all things, we want to prosper financially, be in good health, right? We want our bodies to be in good health, even as our soul prospers, even as we prosper spiritually. So every aspect of our life, financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, as well. So we definitely want that. I pray that you all have been tremendously blessed by this. And so those of you that have registered, you're gonna receive an email. And so one of the things I want to say right here, I initially was going to do it through a Zoom meeting, but I think as we were kind of walking through it, I think the best and the most optimal way is to do it on our social media. Some of you may be on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or one of those, and so I think that would be the most optimal. But the ones that did register, so you are going to receive some information in your email. We're going to be giving away prizes only for those that have registered for the Fearless Challenge. And so we're really excited to have, of course, my husband with us today, but tonight at 8 o'clock, we're going to have Apostle Andrew Tao with us, and he is our dear, dear brother, covenant brother, and so I know he has some amazing things to share with us on tonight. So we'll be a part and come back tonight. And so again, for those that have registered, you're going to receive some things even from today's session. So we're really happy to announce that, and so I definitely want to.
One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to give them some points, my notes, because I didn't get to go over all my notes. And what I'm going to do is for those that register, I'm going to make sure that I put this in the link so that you can make sure you're reading High Performance Habits. But then there's 2 other books. Now these books, I would not show you these books because I'm going to put them in there. One of them is on eating, and another one is about curing different ailments. Because I think that a lot of people have physical ailments that are then spilling over into other areas of your life.
Yes.
And so I want you guys to be healthy. Can I say that again? We want you guys to be healthy so that you can really be the fearless warrior that you're called to be.
Absolutely.
You cannot be fearless. Listen, a lion in the jungle is fearless. But you know why he's fearless? Because he's in shape, man. He has honed his skill. He has honed his fighting ability so that anybody who comes into his realm or his sphere, that he has the ability to fight and defeat them. And so you got to be the same way. Listen, you've got to know that you know that you know that you know that you know that God has anointed you, that God has given you strength, that he's given you power, that he's caused you to be to have the ability to pray, to tap into another level of prayer, to tap into another level of wisdom, to tap into another level of strategy, so that when you bounce back, listen, if you went through a financial place, and I've been through it, listen, when I tell you I've been through some financial challenges, I've had a bad credit score, and then I've had amazing credit scores, amen? And so I know what it's like, but I also know how to build your credit. I know how to I know how to build credit so that, you can buy anything you want to buy, and so I want you to have that. that. I want your life to be optimal. I want you to be that way in your health. I want you to be that way in your mind. I want you to be that way in your spirit. I want your prayer life to be powerful. I want the anointing on your life to literally cause the enemy's camp to listen. I want you to listen. I want you to give the devil a listen. I want you to serve him notice that you have power and that you're going to bounce back from every situation, every circumstance, every trial, every obstacle, come on, every encounter, everything that was meant to destroy you and your family line. No, you're coming back with a vengeance, and you're coming back and you're going to be successful. Everything about your life is going to be successful. Yes. Everything for your family is going to be successful. Yes. You're going to break every bloodline curse and every generational curse, and you're going to come back. Listen, you're going to come back and you're going to show your entire family line. All of them are going to be proud of you. Come on. Everybody in your family line is going to look at you and say, man, I'm proud of you because of what you've done, because of how far you've come back. People know your testimony. They know where you're from. People in my hometown, they know where I've come from. They know what I've been through. They've seen it. They've heard the testimonies. But my God, now they see what God can do through me because I've made it up in my mind that I'm determined to go to the next level. I've made up in my mind that I'm determined, come on, to bounce back. You don't have to listen just because you've gone through a tough situation. You may be in a tough situation right now, but I'm telling you, don't you dare stay there. You learn what you got to learn. You pick up some books and you read and you study and you learn different habits and you understand how to bounce back. You understand how to get your health back together. You understand the remedies that you need to take so you can destroy infirmity in your body. Come on, listen, you got to listen how to get your finances, how to get an 850 credit score. Come on, buy the house that you want to live in, have the kind of money in your bank account. Just because your bank account, listen, is not good now, it doesn't mean it's got to stay there. No, learn financial habits. Learn how to become financially savvy. Understand how this process works so that you can be all that you're called to be. Listen, if you were in this position last year, you shouldn't be in that same position this year. Absolutely. You should have learned something. You should have grown. You should have applied something different. You should have listened. If you got toxic friends last year, this year you shouldn't have toxic friends because your toxic friends placed you in a certain position. No, not this year. You listen. Tell them, listen, I love you and I thank God for you, but I've got to move on and I've got to get around some people. Now, if you're willing to go with me, listen, fine. But if you're not willing to go with me, listen, I've got to get to a place where I can get me together because I only have one life. I cannot live my life and I cannot let my life just fall apart because you don't want to improve. You don't want to grow. You don't want to go anywhere. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not eating that. I'm not living like this anymore. I'm not living beneath the principles that God called for me to be. And I'm telling you that you too, my friend, you can bounce back from it. There is nothing that you can't bounce back from. Yes. There is no depths that God cannot snatch you up, bring you out of, and take you and set you back in your right place. I don't care what situation, I don't care what demon has attacked you. The man in Mark chapter 5, listen, this man people knew him. He had 6,000 demons, but Jesus cast the devil out of him, and then the Bible said he was sitting and in his right mind. And so God can take you from scratching and cutting yourself and operating outside of what you should be, listen, and then take you to a place where you're in your right mind. And so I prophesy that this time next year, come on, that this time next week, that this time next month, come on, that this time 6 months from now, you will not be in the place that you're in. No, you're going to bounce back. You're going to bounce from every situation, every circumstance. Come on, God's going to give you strategy. He's going to give you understanding that you didn't have before, so that this time when you come out of this situation, you're going to be better than you've ever been before. Come on, I prophesy to you. I decree to you. I declare to you. Listen, you're not going to stay stuck. You're going to get out of that place. You're going to press. You're going to endure. You're going to listen. You're going to triumph. You're going to become valiant. Come on. You're going to become, oh God, you're going to press into a place that you've never been in so you can do what you've never done before. I'm prophesying to you that's sitting there watching me now. You're going into another place, and this place is called bounce back. You're going to bounce back from everything that tried to kill you. Come on. You're coming back from, listen, as Sophia, my friend Sophia Roberts, she said, listen, you're going from underbook to overbook. Come on. And so people are going to call on you. Why? Because you're going to educate yourself. You're going to get a level of understanding, and you're going to have not just understanding, but you're going to have the demonstration and the manifestation of the plan of God, of the strategies of God, of the understanding of God, so that now what happens is when you were in that place last year, you won't be in that place this year. Amen?
Jesus.
Amen. Well, I'm getting out of here. I'm so thankful. We're bouncing back. Amen.
We are bouncing back. Listen, this has been phenomenal. My husband was kind of looking through some things today. He was kind of sharing a little bit, and he said, I've got something. I'm excited about sharing it. And I tell you, it has truly blessed me, and I believe it has blessed you as well. And so thank you for being a part of the Fearless Challenge. And watch your email, because you're going to receive some things from today's session concerning, and it will be sent to you in your email. And so hold on just one second. We've got something for you to watch. Don't leave. We'll be right back. Hey, stop what you're doing and look this way. I'm Valora Cole, and this is a clarion call to all the fearless men and women from around the world. I am personally inviting each and every one of you to Fearless 2023, the bounce back of a fearless warrior. Listen, I am super excited about what is about to take place July the 20th through the 22nd in beautiful, sunny Tampa, Florida. Listen, this is the year that you will bounce back from trauma, from disappointment, from loss, everything that came against your life. Listen, this is the year. I will be joined with amazing friends and world changers that will help you bounce back during this conference. My friends and world changers that will help you bounce back are Travis Jennings, Sophia Ruffin, Michelle J. Miller, Andrew Tao, Nikki Koziarts, Cynthia Thompson, Michelle Kelly, Angela Madden, Ryan McJimsey, and my amazing co-host, LaJun Cole. Our musical guests include Enrique Holmes, Rodney the Minstrel Williams, Sinatra Tillman, Chris Brown, Christian Brown, and our very own Contagious Worship. Listen, we're going all out with this conference. We're offering you the VIP experience, the Fearless Awards, a panel luncheon, and a beach picnic. Yes, you heard that right, a beach picnic. So listen, you're not gonna have this opportunity with this many things going on at one time. You've gotta be a part. So go now to our website, www.fearlesswomenglobal.org, and well, awesome. Well, we bless you guys. If you have not registered for Fearless 2023, the Bounce Back for Fearless Warrior, today is your day to do so. You've heard all of the information that's going to be a part, things that you can participate in as a VIP registrant. And so we are excited about what God has in store. Please don't forget also to register. It's a separate registration for the Fearless Picnic. So you definitely want to get that in. Those seats are limited, and so when it's done, and we won't be able to expand that. So take advantage of the opportunity while it's available, and we look forward to seeing you in July. We're just a few weeks away, July the 20th through the 22nd, here in beautiful sunny Tampa, Florida. We are anticipating your arrival, and it's going to be phenomenal. I tell you, God always takes it to the next level, and so you're going to be a part of that. We love you all so much. Come back tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll be here with Apostle Andrew Tao as our guest. Love you guys so much. Appreciate your continued support of LaJun and Valora Cole Ministries and the Fearless Women Global Organization. We love you.